Now, despite publicly saying it is looking to wind down the COVID border policy known as Title 42, there are now reports the Biden administration has begun expelling Cubans and Nicaraguans in an agreement with Mexico using Title 42 as justification. Those expulsions reportedly began late last month and are set to continue over the next few weeks. NewsNation border correspondent Robert Sherman joins us live. And Robert, amid all of this controversy surrounding Title 42, we talk about it almost every day. You've been on the ground. You're hearing from people who are experiencing these policies firsthand.
And people who have traveled thousands of miles have liquidated their savings account, putting everything on the line to reach this point, Nicole. People who are desperate to come here to the United States, or more pointedly, desperate to not stay in their home country.
You can't help but notice it. Among a large group of migrants stands a family of 3 from Cuba. Yamil Echeverria Suarez on the right, her husband, and her 68-year-old mother, who lugged an oxygen tank across the Colorado River. But this video call with family in Houston has been a long time in the making. They've been trying to get here to Yuma, Arizona since March, and they finally made it to America.
We can't get what we need. We can't get jobs. There's a repression in Cuba, a lot of hunger.
I met them.
Hector Sanchez arrived with his family from Peru and says the economic situation in his country is so bad, he can't go home. He's seeking asylum and is terrified of being turned away.
They're going to send me to death. You know, I'm going to die. If they do that, they're going to send me straight to the cemetery. What can I do?
The conversation shouldn't start at the border. The conversation should start where the families come from.
Douglas Nicholls, the mayor of Yuma, says his city is overwhelmed and fears it will drastically worsen if Title 42 expires. He believes the conversation is twofold. On the one hand, he wants the Biden administration to work with Central and South American countries to create less of a need for people to come here. On the other hand, he believes firm policy is needed for those who don't qualify for asylum and don't come through a port of entry.
That discourages people from wanting to make the trip. When someone who truly doesn't need asylum is returned back home, their neighbor decides not to make the trip.
Yamil's mom was brought to tears when we asked about the possibility of being turned away. But the reality is, U.S. immigration law does not typically offer asylum to those solely fleeing financial hardship.
Please just let all the Cubans enter. We're not here to be terrorists. We're just here to come and work and just get ahead.
So for that family, their goal is to make their way to Houston in order to see some of their loved ones that are here in the United States. For those who are permitted to stay, typically the way it works is that they ultimately get released to those family members and then wait for their asylum hearings to proceed. Currently, there's a backlog of well over 1 million cases right now, so that could take years.
Wow.
Nicole?
Robert Sherman giving us those real stories on the ground. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.